Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today, I want to take a look at what happens to every single member of the Order of the Phoenix, the OGs from the First Wizarding War. Now there's 21 members of the Order and one or two names on this list that may actually surprise you. But anyway, I want to take a look at all of the fates of all of these characters. Now some are blatantly obvious as they're well-known characters, but some are relatively unknown, and it will be interesting to see just what happens to these people. So let's just kick it off in no particular order. We will start with Alistair Moody. No surprise there that he's the first name on this list. Mad-Eye Moody is one of the greatest Aurors to ever hold the role and was highly respected by so many of his peers. He was literally responsible for the placing of the majority of dark wizards in Azkaban, so he had a massive target on his back. He rejoined the Order of the Phoenix after Voldemort returned to power and was quite a powerful figure to have on the Order's side. During the Battle of the Seven Potters, Alistair was partnered with Mundungus Fletcher. When the Dark Lord targeted Alistair and Mundungus, as he believed Harry would be flying with the most skilled wizard, Mundungus panicked and disapparated in fear. Catching Moody off guard with his behaviour, his lapse in concentration left him vulnerable to Voldemort, who struck him directly in the face with a killing curse. Moody fell backwards off his broom and down to the ground, and even if he did survive the curse, which is impossible, Moody fell from at least 1,000 feet with no wand, making his death a certainty. Next up we have Albus Dumbledore, another familiar name. The greatest wizard of the age, Dumbledore will go down in history for all the right reasons. Already highly respected for his defeat of Dark Wizard Gellert Grindelwald in their famous duel from 1945, the Hogwarts headmaster had turned down the role of Minister for Magic more than once before he settled permanently into the school. Crucial in stopping Voldemort twice and the actual founder of the Order of the Phoenix, he provided an unmistakable level of comfort to all who were in his presence. Harry even said it himself that he felt safest when Dumbledore was around. The headmaster then hatched a plan with Severus Snape for the latter to kill him right before the Death Eaters, due to the fact that he was already dying from the curse on his hand. Dumbledore gave his life in the hope that Snape, Harry and the rest of the Order gained a step closer to finally destroying the Dark Lord. Next we have a man who just slips under the radar but is actually a very likeable character, and that is Dedalus Diggle. Diggle was a person who was often very cheerful, enthusiastic and friendly. He was excited when he learned about Voldemort's downfall, and he very much admired Harry Potter. He also thought he would flatter Vernon Dursley by telling him that it was very clever to drive and that he could not drive a car. However, this simply angered Vernon. Diggle also thought that he would be best friends with the Dursleys, showing that he was a very friendly, good-natured and open-minded wizard, but possibly somewhat naive, as he did not expect the Dursleys to be as unpleasant as they were. He still remains alive to this day. Marlene McKinnon was a very talented and skillful witch who joined the Order of the Phoenix during the First Wizarding War in order to oppose Lord Voldemort and his Death Eaters. She fought in several battles and came out unharmed in all of them. Marlene and her whole family, however, were murdered by the Death Eaters in July of 1981. Igor Karkaroff implicated Travers as one of the people who was involved. Mad-Eye Moody pointed Marlene out to Harry Potter in a photo of the Order that was taken just 2 weeks before her death. She was one of the early casualties of the war and will be remembered for her efforts. Next up we have Frank and Alice Longbottom, who have actually done a separate video solely dedicated to what happened to them. You can have a look at that video by clicking the card, but with that being said, as the feature in this video, I'll be giving the information on them for this one too. The Longbottoms were incredibly skilled and talented Aurors who were responsible for capturing dozens of dark wizards during the war. When Voldemort disembodied himself and was believed to be missing, the Longbottoms were captured by 4 Death Eaters and tortured with the Cruciatus Curse past the point of insanity. With their minds destroyed, they were placed in permanent care at St. Mungo's Hospital, where they still remain today. As I said, you can check out that detailed video on what happens to the Longbottoms by clicking the card. Emmeline Vance is a name that you may not remember, but she was dealt a rather unfair hand due to her dedication and service to the Order. She was a member of both factions, original and the reassembled Order. One of Vance's more important duties was to serve as a member of the Advanced Guard that acted as protectors of Harry Potter after they extracted him from 4 Prewett Drive. Harry noticed how overly alert Vance was the whole time. Emmeline's long distinguished service to the Order ended, however, when she was attacked and killed by Death Eaters near the residence of the Muggle Prime Minister in the second week of July 1996. Her death was considered a devastating loss for the Order, and her murder was publicised in Muggle newspapers, most likely because of the place of her murder being so close to the Prime Minister. It was also revealed that Snape gave the information on Vance that led to her murder. Remus Lupin is another notable name on this list, and one that I'm sure you'll all recognise immediately. Remus was a member of the original Order and the reassembled one. He was quite young when he participated in the original war and was often left out of secret meetings held due to Sirius Black's mistrust of him. Remus was always loyal and true, however. He fought for the Order and for the Wizarding World in the Battle of Hogwarts alongside his wife Nymphadora Tonks. Unfortunately, the couple both perished in the battle, leaving their son Teddy without a mother and a father. It's probably the saddest death for me from the entire series because of the position it left their son in. Benjy Fenwick is yet again another name you'll never hear in the movies and just might not remember from the book because his name was only mentioned by Alistair Moody. Benjy joined the Order during the First War and was considered a very valuable asset to the faction. However, in typical Death Eater tactics, he was attacked alone and completely outnumbered. He was hit with a blasting curse which killed him immediately and mutilated his body, as Moody remarks that they only found pieces of him when searching for him. Edgar Bones may not be a name you're too familiar with, however you may know his sister Amelia. Edgar was hailed as a great wizard by Alistair Moody as he had a great impact during his time with the Order. He took a wife and had children during the war, and sadly they would all pay the price as his entire family were wiped out by Death Eaters. Voldemort sought to end the family line completely by murdering Edgar's parents himself. Next up we have Sturgis Podmore. He was a member of the original Order and the reassembled one after Voldemort's return. He survived the First Wizarding War and lived without trouble afterwards until he took his position in the Order once again. Sturgis had an unfortunate experience during the Second Wizarding War as he was placed under the Imperious Curse by Death Eaters and forced to attempt a break into the Department of Mysteries. He was wrongly convicted for something he didn't do while not in control of his own body and sentenced to 6 months in Azkaban. He rejoined the Order of the Phoenix after his release and he survived the Second War. Next up we have Caradoc Dearborn. Now there's not too much information on him, only that he joined the Order during the First Wizarding War. He was obviously part of the photo of the Order that was taken, but 6 months on he disappeared one night and nobody ever seen or heard from him again. No body was ever discovered and it was believed he was killed by Death Eaters. Up next we have Rubeus Hagrid, and this is someone we are all too familiar with due to his massive involvement in both Wizarding Wars and obviously the relationship he has with Albus Dumbledore and Harry Potter. Hagrid was highly trusted by Dumbledore and was entrusted with completing one of the Order's final missions before disbanding, the safe transport of Harry Potter to Prewett Drive. During the Second Wizarding War, Hagrid and Madame Maxime unsuccessfully tried to convince the Giants to join the fight against Voldemort and almost lost their lives. He was then taken captive by Death Eaters for the Battle of Hogwarts but survived the war and remains alive to this day. Elphias Doge was a member of the original Order of the Phoenix and was also a childhood friend of Albus Dumbledore from their Hogwarts days. The two had actually planned a trip to Greece only for Albus to remain behind after his mother's death. Elphias participated during the First Wizarding War, which also allowed him to witness the atrocities that came with it. After Voldemort's downfall, he remained out of sight and did not rejoin the Order after the Dark Lords returned to power. It can only be assumed that he remains alive today, as no news of his death has ever been reported. Next up we have Gideon and Fabian Prewett, or Fabian Prewett, whichever way you want to pronounce that name. These are Molly Weasley's older brothers who fought in the First Wizarding War as members of the Order of the Phoenix. The brothers were highly skilled and basically field warriors, getting right into the firing line. They were lured and ambushed by a number of Death Eaters led by Antonin Dolohov. Both brothers were killed after a valiant fight and were sorely missed by the Order and their younger sister Molly. Aberforth Dumbledore is a man that needs no introduction or explanation, except that's what I'm going to do because it's a video on the history of the Order. Aberforth joined the Order despite his bitterness towards his brother over the death of their sister Ariana many years ago. However, he was wise enough to put any squabble aside for the benefit of the wizarding world. He fought in the First Wizarding War and didn't initially join the Order in the second, as he believed Voldemort had already won. It took a deep reflection within himself to realise that it wasn't over, and he played a crucial role in the victory at the Battle of Hogwarts. Dorcas Meadows is a name that I can actually only recall hearing for the first time today. I know she was mentioned in the book, but I completely forgot about her entirely. Dorcas joined the Order during its formation, but didn't survive the First War as she was killed by Voldemort personally. Next up we have Sirius Black, another man who needs no introduction. Sirius was relatively young when he initially joined the First Order of the Phoenix. He really wanted to put all his efforts into defeating the Dark Lord and keeping his close friends James and Lily Potter safe after the Dark Lord had targeted their son to be killed. Sirius was framed by his other friend Peter Pettigrew and spent 12 years in Azkaban for a crime he did not commit. He escaped prison and rejoined the Order to continue to fight against Voldemort on the latter's return to power. He was killed during the Battle of the Department of Mysteries by his own cousin Bellatrix Lestrange. Next up we have Lily and James Potter. They both joined the Order of the Phoenix and fought many battles against Voldemort and his Death Eaters, actually fending him off 3 times without being injured, so they'd had their experience dueling him already. However, when it became clear to the Dark Lord that their son Harry was the one who could vanquish him according to the prophecy, things took a turn for the worse as Voldemort deployed all of his efforts to locate them. They were betrayed and then killed by the Dark Lord after refusing to allow him to kill their son. Peter Pettigrew was the person that betrayed the Potters and is the last person on this list. He was the shy, timid and cowardly Peter who nobody suspected would play such a catastrophic role in what would happen to the Potters and Sirius Black. He only joined the Order for protection. When he realised that he would be better suited on Voldemort's side as they were winning, he jumped ship, but not before completing a double agent status, carrying every secret from each Order meeting, revealing the Potters' location to Voldemort as he was the spell's secret keeper, and framing Sirius Black. He was killed by his own silver hand when he felt guilt for what he did to his friends, seen as a sign of betrayal to Voldemort. There you have it everyone, the fate of every single original Order of the Phoenix member. Thank you very much for watching. See you all in the very next video.